We're going to go about making the rotor today. We're going to need a couple of things that we haven't seen before. We're going to need a 1/4 inch by 20 inch tap. We're going to need a 5/16 inch drill bit, some epoxy glue, some super glue, a compass, electric drill, and some safety equipment, gloves and glasses. Okay, this is probably a procedure that the teacher may have to do some of this, and maybe the students will do part of it. But working with the glues can, depending on the grade level, can be something that needs to be monitored closely. Okay, so here's our rotor, plastic rotor piece, and I'm just going to re-drill this at the 5/16. We always undersize the holes. Each slicer, depending on slicer settings, things might go a little under if you, a little over if you don't adjust it. Now I'm holding this really tightly and I'm going slowly. If you go fast, you start to melt the glue, the plastic, and the plastic will become sticky and it'll actually pull right out of your hand. Again, depending on the grade level, I may pre-do this. Okay. And it's a tight fit, but it's a good fit. Okay, and we don't want any wobble in the shaft, so the fit has to be really tight. And sometimes I'll actually just make sure it's nice and free of burrs. Okay. Now, next thing I'd like to do is I've already washed this off. I did a quick sanding. We're going to glue that. Quick sanding. We're going to glue to this, and then we're going to put magnets on the other side. Make sure it's free of grease and glue. Okay, make sure there's no burrs on it. Take a cloth, wipe everything down. So we're going to epoxy this on here. And epoxy is a glue that needs to be used cautiously. Again, you need to have gloves on. You don't want to get this on yourself or on your clothes. And that's why I'm saying if working with students, depending on the grade level, this may not be what you want them to do. Okay. Now, epoxy is a 2-part glue. I've mixed up a lot of epoxy, so I save a piece of cardboard here. And I'll use the spot that's already glued. This is, and I already have glue on my gloves. The cap of the glue broke. So I'm going to put a little bit of the part B. And, oh, it's really tight. Wow. Okay, there it goes. Okay. Equal part of part A. And store these glues in a plastic bag or someplace where if they leak, they're not going to cause any problems. It's really hard material to get off when it's liquid. So now we need a stick. So I have a stick here. I'll just reuse my good size. Mix it up good. This is quick setting epoxy. Usually when I do this for classroom, I'll do many rotors at once. I won't just do one at a time because again, it's a messy operation, and you don't want to have to go through this mess and then go through separate cleanups. Okay, so we've got our glue mixed up. I'm going to put it on this side. Uh, Now we don't really want to get the glue in the hole because the hole is going to be where the shaft goes, and we're going to pull that out. I'm going to pull the shaft out. Located on here. Now I have a short piece of shaft I'm going to use to hold this in place. I just had it. Okay. So get the holes to line up. Okay. That's all I need. A couple of clamps on there. You could use 4, 2. Use 2. Now this is quick epoxy. In 5 minutes I'll take the clamps off. I'm going to take the rod out now because I don't want to end up with this rod glued in here. Okay. So set that aside. It's going to harden. I have one that I already glued up, and I've tapped the holes already. Tapping operation, I'll just take this screw out and show you that. So you've got a series of holes here, and these are used to hold the rotor onto the shaft. And you can, if you don't want to go through this whole deal of threading, you can just use a regular screw. I've got a small number 4, and you can just tighten that in. It's pointy on the end. You may just file the point off. Okay, and it doesn't take much to hold the rotor in place. You could put one on either side if you want. Okay, the tap. So this is a tap, and so you literally just, and a lot of times I'll just use my electric drill. Again, slowly. You're in plastic. All right, it'll thread itself in. When it gets in all the way, you just want to reverse it. Oops, and bring it back out. Let me just tighten it up. Okay, slowly. Do this slowly. You can heat the plastic up if you go too quickly, and then it starts to melt. It brings on a whole other host of problems. So now we got to put magnets on the other side. I have just ceramic magnets here. I've made these, as you know, I've made them with a lot stronger magnets. And in this case, we're just going to use ceramic magnets. And take my gloves off so I don't want to get any glue on anything. So the magnets need to be north, south, north, south. Okay, so the magnets have no markings on them. But if you bring them over to the compass, you can see the polarity. All right, so that happens to be the white is the south side. So I'm going to take my marker and just mark it south. I need a north. Here's a north. Whoop. Whoops. Gotta be careful. There's a south. And turn it over. There's the north. Okay. So I want to put these 90 degrees apart. I just took a piece of paper, a piece of graph paper. You decide how you want to figure your way around there, but if I put the graph paper here, then I know I've got a mark there, mark there, mark here, and a mark here. Okay, so there's my 4 quadrants. So I'm gonna put my south, put them pretty much on center. Whoops. So just gonna get the corners in. Okay. Now these need to be glued in. I'm just trying them all out first. Okay. This one looks a little crooked. Okay. So now we're going to glue these in, and move this down. Okay. I'm going to use super glue for this, and again I'm going to put gloves on. Now super glue comes in 2 types. This is just the runny thin type, and then there's a more of a gel type. Put my gloves on the other hand, so the sticky side's on the outside. And I think this glue was used once before, and it seems like the tube is broken. See if I can get the cap off. I just used my vise and I loosened it up. So a couple of drops. Not going to take much to hold these. Huh. Oh, a little. Okay, it's not going to take much. And usually you don't really have, whoops. You don't have a lot of time to work with this. You're working again. Okay. Stay. Okay. The magnets are walking around. Now, there is an accelerator you can use. And if you use the accelerator, they will hard. Oh, see, this one's already dry. Okay. So we can get them all equal. That looks pretty good. This one's a little bit off. Okay. Like I said, that one's already hardened. Try to keep the corners in. And that's it. Okay. So there's the finished rotor. Okay, so So this is the generator we were working on before, and now the rotor should go out here, and the coils will go in here. So the next thing we'll do is we'll put the coils in, and then we'll give the generator a test. Okay.